Thanks for listening to Better Business, Better Life. I'm your host, Debra Chantry-Taylor. We're going to do something a little bit fun now. This podcast, would you believe, has been going since 2020. It started off as a bit of a fun hobby, and now some 5 or 6 years later, we're 260 episodes in and still going strong. Each week I produce a new episode, but I thought it might be fun to bring back some of the old episodes and leave them just exactly as they were. So no tweaks, no edits. So there might be a little bit of poor quality in there, but at least you'll get to see and hear from some of the most amazing business people that I've spoken to over those 5 or 6 years. I really hope you enjoy the episodes, and don't forget, if you ever need any help, just reach out to me. I'm only an email away, debra@businessaction.com.au or debra@businessaction.co.nz. Better Business, Better Life, here to help.
What has been proven again and again is that a 5-cent aspirin is not very effective curing your headache, but a 50-cent aspirin is.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Better Business, Better Life. Today I am joined by Sjöfors, who is the founder of Sjöfors and Partners Inc., but more commonly known as the Price Whisperer. And he will explain where he got that moniker from in a moment. Thank you so much for joining us. Pers is actually over in California, is that right?
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles, and it looks like well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. But it actually looks like we may get a little bit of rain, which is the first rain we've had since February, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Things must be pretty dry over there then.
it is pretty dry, and water is running low, so we're not allowed to water our yards anymore and stuff like that. So
wow, it reminds me of being back in Australia. We had similar kind of challenges over there regularly in Australia.
Yeah, that's right. And so anyway, everything is dying, and but and it's hot. I'm in the hottest little corner in LA, and this week we've had up to about 44 degrees.
Wow. Yeah.
So today's been only 40.
I have to say I'm not envious because I don't like really hot heat, but it sounds like at least it's it's not cold. It's not cold and it's not wet like we are over here. So that's good. Yeah. Okay. We've just had a bit of a chat before we came on this podcast, and you've obviously got a very fascinating story. I wonder if you might start to share some of that with us, and also tell us, what you're most proud of professionally and personally in your life so far.
Yeah, I actually have I have a background of first an engineering background and then an MBA, but my entrepreneurial journey, if you want to call it that, started really. I'm Swedish from start, and I had the opportunity to. I worked for this company, and the owner of the company, and I was on the engineering side, and he said, "You need to go into sales." And he's told me that for a couple of years, and I said, "No, I can't do sales." Eventually, though, he convinced me. So we set up a company in Switzerland, in Zurich, and I had I was scared out of my wits, right? Because I've never established a company before. I've never been a CEO before. I've never developed a European-wide distribution business, and I didn't know the language.
Just a few challenges then.
So one had to be a quick learner for sure. That's and that was a lot of work, of course, and as it always is, but it was very successful. However, after about 5 years, when I think we were up to about 7-8 million in revenue, so pretty small. But I was then bought over actually by my main competitor, which was a Japanese company, and I became CEO of their subsidiary out of London to handle the European market, and over a 3-year period, I quadrupled sales.
Wow!
So that was, and I was, it was sort of funny. I was known in the company as the hardest worker in when you have a Japanese company,
wow.
Which wasn't really true, because these folks from Japan, they had, they have a to-do list for today, with 50 items, and they didn't stop until they done all the 50 items, and I did the 6 items that made any difference. So but but that was fun, and also to get an insight into the inside of a Japanese company.
Mm.
um, and we always took our best distributors to Japan and traveled around them in Japan, and so we saw it really from the inside.
Okay, lovely.
But then eventually I was recruited to establish a division of a fairly large company, a fairly large public company here in the US, which I did. And and that was also very scary, to suddenly be on the management team of a $500 million company, and that is public, and so forth. But the whole thing it went well. I took that division to about 72 million in 2 years. So and I was very successful. The company though died around me.
Oh.
Long story short, and I actually negotiated to sell our division to Philips in Holland, and everything was done. We just needed the signature of Philips CEO, and then he got fired.
Oh no. Oh no. Boy. Okay. May I ask what happened then?
Well, what happens then? I mean, we were part of this dying company. It doesn't matter that I had lots of business, and because the owners of the company, or the I shouldn't say the owners of the company because it was public, but the major investors says that, let's just shut it down. There's no future here.
That's sad.
Yep.
Okay, so where to from there then?
Well, then I had another 4 CEO positions, but the point is that in all of these instances, we did experiments with pricing, only because it was an interest area for me, and some of those experiments were very successful, meaning that next quarter revenues are up 25% or so, and many were complete duds. And what I had learned in business school and could read about pricing was so theoretical and so academic that it was really useless as an information source to find out why some of those experiments worked and others didn't. So 15 years ago, I decided I was too old and too opinionated to be a hired gun, and so I set up my own shop, and said to myself that I wanted to develop a process that makes every pricing experiment a success. And that process is the process we still use. We have refined it, obviously, over time. We developed our own AI software that supports the process, and it's all about understanding what a market is willing to pay for a product or a service, right? And we find a way where that could be measured with great accuracy, and from that we can predict sales volume and revenue and profits at different price levels, right? And it's not only that, because then we segment it so we can tell our clients, this is the customer segment or persona that leads to the highest sales volume and revenue. We do the same with product or service features and benefits. We can say, use these in your messaging and in your marketing because they drive the highest sales volume at higher prices. We do the same with marketing. So we tell our clients, use these marketing messages in these channels because it's going to drive the highest sales and revenue. Same with sales. Use these sales methodologies and these channels because it's going to drive the highest revenue. And finally, of course, we say we can define a pricing strategy that minimize friction and maximize sales volume and revenue.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's a process that you've developed, and obviously
Mhm.
you've been doing this for quite some time now.
Yeah.
What do you see the common sort of mistakes people make around pricing?
Well, the first one is really not to realize that pricing is a profit driver,
Hmm.
and almost all companies we work with are underpriced, right? And just to give some recent examples of underpriced companies, we and this is using this methodology of measuring willingness to pay and predict sales volume and so forth. One company we took from an annual revenue of about 200 million to 250 million in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep.
Another one, a small company, we took from about 15 to 35 million. That took 6 weeks roughly. It was more complicated to do the measurement.
So
So
why do you think people undervalue their product or service?
Well, well, one thing is that in business school, you are being taught these demand curves that tells you that the lower the price, the higher the sales volume.
Mm-hmm.
And most companies are more interested in sales volume than revenue and profits. And that is a mistake, because if you instead focus on profits, you get more resource to develop new products, to do more marketing, to do more sales development, to hire the best people, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So a focus on profitability and a focus on putting pricing in as a centerpiece of your business strategy makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
You mentioned my book here, and I reached out to some prior customers. I sent them a review copy and asked them, can you say something nice, And one company, Jim and Eric, came back and he said, well, Per, you helped us grow from 100 million to over 1 billion. Thank you very much.
Wow.
By putting pricing in as the centerpiece of the business strategy.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying is absolutely right, is, once you get, if you focus not on the top lines of revenue, but on the profitability, it enables you to create, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You're creating a better business, you're creating better, everything gets better because of that. And therefore you can continue to
absolutely.
be sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah. And other mistakes people do is, they look at their cost and then they put some margin on, and there's typically in different industries, there are different rules of thumb, right? Some companies try to look at a competitor that could work if the competitor has pricing in public, but if it doesn't, it's almost impossible to find what they're charging.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is typically the first step into the commoditization death spiral.
Yes.
So yes, and which you want to avoid.
Absolutely. It's been interesting because when I work with businesses, they're often concerned that if they do put their prices up, that they will lose customers. And there is a mathematical equation that sort of says, hey, sometimes putting your prices up, you lose, even with losing customers, you still end up being a whole lot better off long term, right? Yeah.
I mean, that absolutely, that's our business. And because the price, if you price yourself too low, you get, people look at the price and say, this is so cheap, it can't be any good. And I mean, we've all been there, we hold something in our hands and we say, I kind of want to buy this, but this is so low that the price is so low that I'm going to pass. This can't be any good.
Yeah.
Right.
We do it when we buy cars. We do it when we buy. It's all branding, really, isn't it? At the end of the day, if it is too cheap, you think, well, it cannot be a good quality. It can't be what I'm looking for. Yeah. Okay. So when you start working with a business, where do you start?
It's always to understand the business. And like in, but it's since what we do is all external to the business, we need to understand how they see their market, how they see their buyers, and their product and services. We do not work with sort of internal processes and stuff like that, you know.
Mm.
So and that's why we have like this, you know, like I mentioned, we can kind of turn around the company in 3 weeks, right? Because nothing changes in the company. You just adjust the prices, right?
Now, you're making it sound all very, very simple, but there's obviously a little bit more behind it. Tell me a bit about, can you give one of your examples of the business that you've worked with, and just a little bit of insight into how you did, 3 weeks. I've heard you mention 3 weeks, 6 weeks, very, very short time frames.
Yeah.
Can you give a little bit of insight into what you do with them to get those sort of results without giving away the secret sauce?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I mentioned that we do willingness to pay research, which is a kind of market research, but in a very different way.
Right.
And we have developed a whole, in that we do a whole series of open-ended questions where we ask our clients, it's not our clients, we ask the people who we poll, and this is all done online, of course. We ask them to equate value and price, right? So how they value different price points, and what prices are too cheap and too expensive and so forth, you know. And then we feed that into that AI software that we developed, that some gurus said we should call it quicker growth software, but I think that's hokey. But then I have business people that look at the data that comes out and make human sense out of it, right? Because we need to be very, very specific in our recommendations, you know. But from a company point of view, it is we take 4 man-hours, to do one of these projects. And maybe 6 on the outside, but and this is spread over several people over some time, you know. And then if it's just as simple as just adjusting prices, as the 2 examples I gave you, then it's just changing the price on a website or in a price list. That doesn't take any effort at all.
Interesting, though. I actually, I don't know if you know Dr. Rob Adams, who's over in the US. He's a specialist in market validation. I actually trained under him, and we do a lot of market validation work. And it's not as simple as asking people what they're prepared to pay, is it? Because they will often tell you something completely different.
You can never ask what somebody is willing to pay, because they will lie. You know?
They do. They make it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the same thing as you cannot ask people, what do you intend to do? Because you never, they don't know. They will just make it up, right? But you can reliably say, what have you done in the past? Because people will continue to do the same thing. You know, and I think it's funny. I see these surveys sometimes, you know, and like when you go to some of these trade shows, they say, what are you going to buy next year? I'll just fill in something, you know. It's just and then they use this and then it's 86% of attendees say they're going to buy X, you know.
So as they use it as data to prove their model.
Exactly.
No, it was fascinating. I mean, I must admit, people always sort of think they can do this kind of work themselves, but it's a very, very specialist skill. I mean, market validation, pricing validation, you have to be able to ask the right sort of questions. Otherwise, you're actually just going to get answers that you want to get, but they may not be the right answers.
That's true. But you also, I mean, there's tell you a story here. I had a conversation with the CEO of a SaaS company. They do something called a contract management software, right? This guy said, I've decided, he said, price is going to be $165 a month per user. And then he continues saying, but I don't know if that's right. Maybe it should be 99. Maybe it should have been 250. But 165 just felt right. It felt good. How much money is he leaving on the table?
Yeah.
Massive amount of money.
Yes.
Right. Just because he said, well, feel good pricing is right for me.
Yeah. But it comes down to what value does that software actually provide, and how what
Exactly.
do people place on it? Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. And that's a perception of value. There's another interesting thing. In the little price community, if you like, there's something called economic value pricing. This is something that you do when you're selling B2B. The seller is supposed to understand the exact economic value that you provide to the buyer, right? Now, that requires the buyer to open up the kimono and tell everything to the seller, right?
Yep.
And then there's a lot of assumptions that you also have to make. And again, within that pricing community, this economic value pricing is the silver bullet to pricing, right? And I mentioned this to a bunch of CEOs that I know, and said, and I asked them, would you just open up and tell the buyer everything there is to about your company? And obviously the answer is never.
No.
And then let's say in the very unlikely event that will happen. So, okay, you have the economic value, then what portion of that should the seller take? 5%, 10%, 50%? Guessing again,
Yes. So tell me a little bit about your book, because I'm very interested in the AI stuff, and I'm also interested to hear about this new book that you have just written. So this is obviously based on, I'm guessing, on all of your experiences over the years. Yeah. And tell me a little bit about it. Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's called The Price Whisper. And it's called The Price Whisper, and it had a subtitle called A Holistic Approach to Pricing Power. And it's the AI piece is really something that it's used in the back office, Yeah. But it talks in detail about everything there is about understanding that holistic approach, the understanding something called the decision landscape, that is really how we people make decisions, and specifically buying decisions. There is actually an academic field called behavioral economics. So we are leaning ourselves on 3 Nobel Prize winners, and to be honest, I defined this process that we're using then 15 years ago when it was time to set out on my own. I only learned about behavioral economics 5 years ago. And then I realized that what we are doing is the practical implementation of behavioral economics, right? I mean, for example, we talked about underpricing ourselves. What has been proven again and again is that a 5-cent aspirin is not very effective curing your headache, but a 50-cent aspirin is.
Same aspirin, right?
Same aspirin.
Yes.
Something called expectation bias.
Yeah.
So the book is really everything there is to know about pricing. Actually not really everything, because I've just started on the 2nd edition because there are a few things I want to add. Yeah. But it's about the importance of understanding that decision landscape. It reviews the background in behavioral economics. It talks about the precise process you want to use to set prices right, and so forth. And it also have a few other things. You can learn things in your company by doing stuff that is related to your sales transactions and your processes, and I'm talking about that too.
Okay.
But it's an Amazon bestseller.
Yep.
And that's only the Kindle version that came out in early August. The print version is coming out in early November.
Okay, great. So they can get it obviously from Amazon. That's where people can find the book.
Yep.
Yep.
They can. Yeah. So that's the and I mean it's 300 odd pages. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So it's like a step-by-step kind of guide into understanding behavioral economics and what effect that has on your pricing.
Yeah, the behavioral economics is sort of the academic background, and then it's all about how do you implement that in
So it's a
real life.
practical, pragmatic version of it. Yeah.
That is what we are about.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I'm really interested. I'm not sure if you can actually answer this or not, but obviously for you to get these results for your clients, you are putting in place price increases. What about the communications around that? Because this is where most people are fearful. It's like, oh my goodness, if I write to my clients or talk to my clients and tell them the prices are going up by X, it's going to be disastrous.
No, there's fact there is I've written a guide called the 7 easy steps to successfully increase prices.
Oh, lovely.
With a subtitle, and keep your customers happy.
Where do we find that? Right, is that also on Amazon, is it? Sorry.
It is on Amazon. It can also be downloaded from our website for free. But on Amazon, there's a price for it. And it's a quick read, it's a guide. It takes 30 minutes to read or something like that.
Sure.
But you're right. It's all about external communication, internal communication. And it's about having contingency plans, right? But also often it's not a big deal. Often you just increase prices. And I mean, we did a SaaS company in the oil and gas field, and we said you can increase your price with an average 41%. They had about 17,000 customers. And we helped them with the communication, how they should communicate this. We trained their staff so that they would be prepared to defend prices should there be a uproar,
Backlash, yeah.
Because communication was done in a proper way, when they increased their prices, the CEO got 2 angry emails and 1 angry phone call.
From 17,000 customers.
And they did not lose a single one.
Wow. Yeah. So it is all, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. It's all about the way that it is communicated. And also the internal stuff is very, very important, isn't it? Because people have to understand that we're worth the value that we are charging.
Correct. And that's why that's why it's doing this willingness to pay research, so you have the hard data on what customers to a company are actually willing to pay. Is so important. And give you another story here. Friend of mine has I don't know if you have that in New Zealand, but here we have little pouches with ready-made drinks, margaritas and stuff like that. And he had a premium product in that range of products, and the first time he sold to one of the large chains here, he sold at a loss because his premium product was bundled sort of with the cheap and nasty pouches that are out there, but then we got involved and we could measure what people are willing to pay for the premium features of this product. So next time, when it was time to renew the order, Bob came with hard data saying that this is what consumers are willing to pay for this product, right?
Yep.
So in the end, he got the price that he wanted. The grocery store chain had a higher price product and therefore made a larger dollar margin. So it was more profitable for them.
Yep.
And consumers actually got the product they wanted. Had he not had this data that we provided him with, he would have withdrawn. He would have gone somewhere else. And this was a startup company, so he may just have closed it down. So it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins.
I love it. Okay, well, we could talk about this for hours, I have no doubt, and I'm definitely actually going to go out and get both of those books, as they sound fantastic. I think they're very helpful for my clients as well. But I'd love to know 3 practical kind of tips or tools that you could share with the listeners that they can put into place in their business.
Well, well, first of all, increase your price.
Yes.
I mean, just go and increase your price and have contingency plans. And if somebody complains, grandfather them in, and then that's it. And this goes. There's a famed VC called Andreessen, and he was asked that same question. What is your most important advice to startups? And he said, increase your price, because that's when you need the money the most, right? Yeah. Second is, if you're a small company, it's not really feasible to do the kind of work that we do. Yeah. But even if you're a solopreneur, there's ways you can figure out the right range of your price, right? And it's about value and price. And we talked about things can be too expensive. They can obviously also be too expensive. But this is what somebody can do. Again, a coach, a solopreneur, a startup, whatever, is find 25 potential customers. These are not your current prospects, and it's certainly not your current customers, right? And then approach them with 2 questions. Yeah. And you need to find 25 of them. I said that, I guess. Yeah. And the questions are, first you describe the product or service. Yeah. And then you ask them, now when you know what we do, the product or service, what is a price that is so low you think that we are not going to deliver on our promise, so therefore you won't buy it, right? Yeah. And then you ask them, and the flip side, that we will over deliver on our promise and the quality will be better than you think. What is a price that is so high that is still out of consideration? When you talk to 25 people, yep, you take these, the average of the price points that you got, you have the range of where your price should be.
Nice. Yep.
Not below that and not over that. Yep. Right. Okay. And then if you, of course, want to put the price towards the higher end, because that's where you're going to have the higher profitability.
Understand. So most of our listeners are slightly larger in terms of they are, they're mid-sized. They're not the large US companies that you tend to work with. But what would you recommend for those companies?
Well, if I blatantly is to hire me.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? If you can add, what was it? You can take it from 200 million to 250 million in 3 weeks. Why would you not? Yes.
No. Well, I mean, for your audience in New Zealand, we've done work for a few well-known New Zealand-based companies. So yes. I can't mention any names here, but
but we've talked about it beforehand, so I know who they are. But and that's great, because you obviously your organization is actually global, isn't it? So you've got people around the world who can work with anybody around the world. Yeah.
We just finished off a project for an Israeli company where we did the actual willingness to pay research in South America, Africa, and Asia.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we're all over the place.
Fantastic. Okay, so what is your ideal client? What do you
Yeah,
who do you like to work with?
the most of our clients are sort of in the, I would say, 5 to 10 to up to about 250 million,
Yep.
that kind of range.
Yes.
And the reason is that if you're a much bigger company, you typically call up the McKinseys or Deloittes of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and they often deliver a stack of paper 1/2 meter high, and and I've had more than one conversation with a CEO saying that I have a 1/2 meter stack of paper that props up my door because I don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
So and we are almost always brought in when there's a change in the company.
Sure.
When when there's maybe a new investor, when maybe there's a acquisition of some kind, and there is a sense that it's time to move the company to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can't soldier on as we've done. We need to really grow spectacularly for shareholder value, to give more value to our clients, to hire more people, and all.
Sustainability. Yeah. Fair enough. Great. Hey, well, look, really, really helpful, this information you shared here. Just to recap, so we've got I've got a couple of books you recommend people. First of all, The Price Whisperer, which is on the Amazon bestseller list on Kindle and about to release the book in early November. Then you've got your 7 easy steps to
increase prices.
Increase prices, and that was
and keep your
customers happy.
Yeah.
So those 2 books definitely recommend. And if people wanted to get in contact with you, how would they find you, and what's the website?
Yeah, the best way of finding me is just do a Google search on The Price Whisperer.
Yeah.
And I have a YouTube channel. There are all sorts of guides and all sorts of information. There's a masterclass in pricing on the website. And you find all of that by just Google The Price Whisperer.
Price Whisperer. Love it.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. Well, look, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. And I'm looking forward to reading both of those books.
All right. Thank you so much, Debra. And thanks. I hope the audience find it interesting and valuable as well.
I have absolutely no doubt they will. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.